Hey there, let's be real. History can be a wild ride. We've got epic battles, political intrigue, and moments that make you question everything. But sometimes, history throws in a curveball so ridiculous, you can't help but laugh. Did you know that one of the shortest wars in history lasted only 38 minutes? Or that a war was sparked by a pig? Yes, a pig. Stick around because today we're diving into the most ridiculous wars you've probably never heard of. Get ready to laugh, cringe, and maybe even question humanity's sanity. Our first stop takes us to the San Juan Islands, claimed by both the United States and Great Britain. The year is 1859. Tensions are high. A British farmer's pig wanders into an American farmer's potato patch. The American farmer, Lyman Cutler, shoots the pig. This wasn't just any pig, it was a British pig on American-claimed land. News of the pig shooting spread and both sides sent troops to the islands. Thankfully, no shots were fired and the conflict became known as the Pig War. Cooler heads prevailed and the two countries agreed to a joint military occupation of the islands. All this over a pig. From a pig to a body part, history is filled with strange and unexpected events. Our journey takes us back to 18th century Europe, a time of exploration, trade, and conflict. At the heart of this tale is Robert Jenkins, a captain in the British Merchant Navy, whose name would become infamous. In 1731, while sailing off the coast of Florida, Jenkins's ship was boarded by Spanish coast guards. Accused of smuggling, Jenkins faced a brutal punishment. The Spanish officers sliced off his ear as a warning. Jenkins, determined to seek justice, preserved his severed ear in a jar of brandy, a macabre keepsake of his ordeal. Years later, in a dramatic appeal, Jenkins presented his jarred ear before the British Parliament, seeking retribution. The sight of the pickled ear incited a wave of outrage among the British public, fueling a fervour for action. In 1739, driven by public indignation and political pressure, the British Parliament declared war on Spain, marking the start of the War of Jenkins Ear. Though the war was rooted in deeper geopolitical tensions, the bizarre story of Jenkins and his ear became a symbol pushing two nations into conflict. Chapter 3. The Pastry War. Our next ridiculous war involves a pastry-related dispute that spiraled hilariously out of control. Set in 1838, a French pastry chef named Monsieur Remontel ran a bakery in Mexico City. During an uprising, Mexican officers allegedly caused damage to Remontel's bakery. Remontel appealed directly to the French king, Louis-Philippe, for compensation. France demanded 600,000 pesos in damages from Mexico. Mexico, already dealing with internal struggles, wasn't eager to pay up. The French blockaded Mexican ports and occupied the port city of Veracruz. All this over some pastries. Chapter 4. The Football War. A simple game of football ignited a conflict that went down in history for all the wrong reasons. The year is 1969, a time of great political and social upheaval in Central America. El Salvador and Honduras faced off in a qualifying round for the 1970 FIFA World Cup. This was more than just a game, it was a clash of national pride and identity. Tensions were high over immigration and land reform. Issues that had been simmering for years and now found an outlet in the football stadium. The first leg of the match saw El Salvador emerge victorious, sparking celebrations across the nation. The second leg in El Salvador was tense, with El Salvador winning again. The atmosphere was electric, but also fraught with tension. Violence erupted between fans, escalating into riots and unrest. What started as a sports rivalry quickly turned into a national crisis. Nationalist sentiments were running high, fueled by decades-old grievances and a sense of injustice that had been building up over time. El Salvador severed diplomatic ties with Honduras, and on July 14, 1969, the two nations went to war. This conflict, known as the Football War, lasted for 100 hours but left a lasting impact on both countries. Chapter 5. The Anglo-Zanzibar War. The shortest war in recorded history, lasting only 38 minutes. The year is 1896. Our setting is the island of Zanzibar, off the coast of East Africa. When the pro-British Sultan Hamad bin Tueni died, his cousin, Khalid bin Bargash, seized power. The British issued an ultimatum: step down or face the consequences. Khalid ignored the ultimatum. On August 27, 1896, the British launched an attack on the Sultan's palace. The whole thing lasted 38 minutes. Khalid fled to the German consulate, and the Anglo-Zanzibar War was over almost as soon as it began. From a pig on a potato rampage, causing chaos in the fields and making everyone laugh, to a pastry chef's quest for compensation after a hilarious mix-up in the bakery, history is full of these weird, wacky and surprisingly hilarious moments that often get overlooked. These stories remind us that the past wasn't all about grand battles and political intrigue. It was also filled with humour and unexpected events. It was also about ordinary people, strange events, and the quirky side of life that history books often miss, and yes, even ridiculous wars that make us question how they ever happened. So which of these ridiculous wars did you find the most absurd? Was it the War of the Stray Dog, or perhaps the Pig War? Let me know in the comments below. Your thoughts and opinions are always fascinating to read. And hey, if you enjoyed this trip down history's more bizarre side roads, don't forget to share it with your friends. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more. Your support helps us bring more fun historical content. Because here we believe that history doesn't always have to be so serious. It can be fun, engaging, and full of laughter.